Hello and welcome to my new channel, His Dull Videos, HDV for short. The first of which is going to be about this Audi TT behind me. But first, just a bit about the channel and thought process is it's going to be a car-centric channel. Anything based on the internal combustion engine that I'm interested in, basically, I envisage doing a few videos on. Various different things, how-tos, all sorts of things like that. So that's what I'm thinking about. More of that in the future, but for now, this is part one of my new project. And the project is about investment. At the moment you can invest in all sorts of things, but the popular ones are things like shares, stick your money in a high rate interest deposit account. But I've thought recently, what about investing in cars and picking the right car? And something that's not a massive outlay. So that's what brings me to this Mk1 Audi TT. My idea is to invest 5k, up to 5k, including the car, and follow it over 5 years. And that's where we're going to start. So here we are, we've got the 3.2 Audi Quattro, V6 engine, it's got a DSG gearbox, it's a 2005, and let's have a look inside. Right, that's better, a bit warmer in here, and at least there's no cars driving past. So, what are we pitching this car against? 5k investment in this. Well, looking at our other options, as I've said, shares and fixed rate accounts and things like that. So my idea is this is going to cost, including the car. Well, I'll go through the costs in a bit. But the car and everything that's it takes to bring it up to a good standard. So, i.e., if you're going to sell it on Auto Trader, it needs to be in. I'm going for usable A1 condition, so not showroom, not like just take it to shows, but a car that you can use every day in the summer. But it's tip top. But in terms of benchmark days, I'm using the 21st of November as the benchmark day. 2024. So John Prescott's dead. That's the big news on the BBC. But shares wise, let's say on that day we invest 5k also in BT shares, British Telecom, BT.A on the stock exchange. They are 148.15 GBX if you look on Google. Nvidia is another one that I might choose. Over the pond, they're dealing in it's an IT company. They deal largely in AI type thing, so that's quite an up and coming company. Currently they are $145.89 NVDA if you want to look that up. And then also you might want to put it into, be safe, put it into a 4.4 fixed rate account, which you can currently get with Al Rayyan Bank. Lock that in there for 5 years and see where you go. Or be a bit more interesting and lock your 5k into this car. So, why this car, which brings me on to that, the TT, it's pushing 30 years old now, this design. It's the first of the TTs, and people I think are just starting to become a little bit nostalgic about it. With it being the first incarnation, I feel like it's got more chance of, I'm going to call it a future classic. I think it already is a classic. But I just feel it adds that little bit more weight to this being a good bet as an investment now. And I think they've pretty much reached a level where, as long as it's in a usable condition and it's got an MOT, I don't think these cars are going to go down in value. Especially with it being the rose to the soft top, people are always going to want something a little bit fun and a little bit different. And I think in 5 years' time, there's still quite a lot of dross out there. There's still a lot of ones which haven't been well looked after, which are still on the road, but in 5 years' time I think they'll all be gone and there'll be a lot less to choose from, meaning that the values go up from that point of view, but also I think nostalgia will have increased, and that's my hope anyway. So, and it's affordable, isn't it? What I've paid for this is affordable. It's not beyond, most people could afford this. I would have thought at this point. Storage. I'm lucky. I've got somewhere where I can store it for free, somewhere nice and dry, which is obviously a benefit. But yeah, a fun car, a cheap car, and hopefully one that's going to earn us money. So let's have a quick look at what is wrong with it. Right, so we'll start at the front then. So, I think the headlights might need a little bit of a buff, but it's not too bad. I think this paintwork is lovely, by the way. It's got a real brightness to it. I'm not really a red person, but I think this is a bit different. It's not just metallic, it's almost like it really bounces out at you. Anyway, right, so front bumper, we've got a crack. There. That needs sorting. There is a very fine crack here. You can barely see it, but it's there. There is a scratch, big scuff here. I think that might buff out with a little bit of polish. So that's something we've got to look at. The wings are a little bit corroded along the top, so that's definitely going to need a paint. It's also got a dint there, so unavoidably we're into a wing for painting. There is a tiny dent in the bonnet. It's more noticeable in certain lights. Can't really see it much here, but there is a little dent there. That might be one for the dent puller if it's bad enough. We'll see. Going down to there's here on the sills, these sort of sill covers, which are metal. They have started rusting along the edges, and on here it is creeping in. Can't really tell in the sunlight, but it's creeping in quite a lot to here. Hopefully you can see that there. So we've got rust sort of really making its way into this section, and the same at the back. What happens is you get a lot of water that rests in here, you get dirt on here, and it doesn't dry out quickly, and therefore rust quickly takes hold in areas like that. Probably the same for up here as well. On that lip you get a lot of, if you don't clean in your arches, you're leaving moisture there for longer than it would be if it wasn't dirty, and you're going to increase the risk of rust, encourage it a bit quicker than it would normally. So I think that's going to need some attention down there. Along the other side, as you can see, again, the rust is just bubbling through here, so that needs sorting out. Rest of that panel, rest of that side is in pretty fine fettle, really. The boot, the spoiler has come off. There is a little bit of damage to one of the bolts that goes into it, and it's ripped a bit of the mounting off. So the spoiler needs sorting out. These bits are also these are holes, obviously covered up at the minute, but these have actually sort of lifted up a little bit, rived up when there's been a problem with the spoiler. So that's going to need sorting out. There's a big chunk of paint out there, and the spoiler's been rubbing on here because it's been loose, it's not been properly fitted. So I'm not sure if we could be into painting the whole boot here. It has been painted before, this bottom section, a couple of years ago, but I think the whole thing might now need doing. You don't really see it, you wouldn't see it so much with the spoiler on there. It's not a bad line to take it to avoid it being obvious, but yeah, I think we could be into a boot. Rest of the back looks pretty good. There's just two little notches out of the plastic there. I'm thinking a bit of touch up, and that is slightly raised, so I think the bumper's been pushed in. There's obviously something behind it that's pushed it out, and I'm not sure if we can heat that up and sink it back down again. And I think that would do it. There's a slight dent in here. I'm hoping that a dent puller can do that rather than painting it, because that panel I don't think really needs painting. And these sills are starting to go, but I think we might be able to just keep it at bay if we just treat it properly. There's a slight ding in the door, if you can detect that. Slight little dent there. We could go for a dent man again on that. again, there's a little bit of a funny bulge there. I don't know if that's holding water, like a little blister. But again, it's just very slightly creeping in, and if we can keep that at bay, we can hopefully stop that from needing painting. Front wing, pretty much like the other one. It's going rusty here, just a little bit, and there are two pretty nasty dents, creases in it there. So that's pretty much for the bodywork. The wheels, don't know what's happened to these, but I think they've been redone not long ago, a couple of years ago, but it's had the odd curbing, but I don't think they've been done properly. Something's gone wrong. There's like water ingress or something that's, you know, and I could feel that is not smooth. So they're a really poor job, which is a bit disappointing, really. And they're all like that. Boot wise, when a spoiler goes on, the boot gets quite heavy, and these gas struts are going to need replacing because they're just not strong enough. Need a bit of a clear out of all this debris in the corners, and as often apparently goes, these are knackered, so we need to get some new ones of these. Now that we're on a nice bit of open road, just go through some facts and figures on it. So I have paid for this £2,800. It's done 124,000 miles now. It's got a full service history, most of which is Audi. It's got a 12-month MOT, which is clean, and in terms of service history, the right things have been done at the right time. Like the DSG gearbox oil changes have been done correctly when they should be done. The Haldex, all things like that are important. Also, I do know this car. I've known this car since June 2021 when my ex-partner bought it, and I had a lot to do with buying that at the time. So I know its history since then. Mechanically, it's been well looked after, you know, since then. There's the odd bit of bodyweight. In fact, in 2021, it had done 98,000 miles. She paid £3,200 for it. There was the odd little thing that was wrong with it then that needed sorting out. The front bumper had some much worse damage on than what it's got on now, and the driver's side front wing needed painting, as it does do now, bizarrely. And also the spoiler, there was an issue with the spoiler then which hasn't really been properly resolved. So you know, there's a bit of rust that's happened since then which wasn't there at the time, and one or two, you know, a few little more niggly bits. But yeah, that's sort of where it all stands at the minute. But yeah, buying a car that's a known entity, I think there's quite a lot of value in that. I wouldn't necessarily have bought this for 2,800 off just an Auto Trader advert. I think I may have been looking at making offers lower, but you know, when you know a little bit more about something, to me that adds a bit of value. So I'm quite happy with what I've outlaid for this so far. Now it drives nicely. Like I say, the tracking's a little bit off, but it'd be interesting to know what you think in terms of values. If you know about these cars. Also, Trader at the minute, looking at adverts, they're sort of between £4,000 and £5,000, mixture of private and trade sales. Now, some of those, one of them in particular, I looked at £5,000 are wanting for it. They've made a real bodge effort of hiding rust on the arches, and a lot of those have got high owners. They've got, in fact, I don't think any of the ones at the minute that I've looked at, as I say, November 2024, they've not got full service histories. Probably slightly lower mileage than this, but yeah, I think everything that I'm looking at the minute is pointing towards this being a good one to invest in. But yeah, interesting to see what you think on that. So other things to do on the car. The interior is in good nick, but it does need a bit of a clean. God, there is horrendous potholes around here. I'm hoping that camera's going to hold up. Yeah, it does need a good valet inside. The leather seats and the door trims on the side, because it's a light colour of leather, I feel like there's like a ground in sort of a dirt in it that I've tried briefly to lift this out. It doesn't really seem to have made much difference. I've used some Ultra-Clean leather cleaner. I'll have another go with that, but you know, I don't know if there's a better product for it, just to lift it back to a bit more like a new state, if you like. It's never going to be perfect, is it? But I think it could get cleaner than what it is. It's very dusty, so I'll be getting busy with the toothbrush, no doubt, to get all that cleaned out, and of course a very good hoover. Let's just spin this around. And the dashboard, as I mentioned, the LCD is kaput. You literally can't read anything. Every now and again something bings up on there, and I mean I can't even hazard a guess, really. But I think that's probably about 100 quid's worth. A few little screws, and I'll be doing a video on that when I get round to that one. One of the best features of this car, I have to say, of the interior, other than the fact that I think it's a very well put together car, the Audi TT. I think cars of the 90s, a lot of cars of the 90s, just seem to have a better build quality. Everything, I mean, there is a few rattles. I need to get to the bottom. There's a rattle down here somewhere, which is annoying me. But everything just feels like the actual products themselves just feel good to touch. Feel like they're screwed together well. Other than the heated seats and the Bose sound system, one of the best features of this car, I do think, is it has a tape player, a cassette. I'm going to stick it on in a bit, but all the other ones I've seen on Auto Trader have actually got CD players, so I think this makes this one even more nostalgic. It's not going to add any value, is it? But perhaps just a little bit more of a selling point. I've got some. I've had to dig out some tapes. I've got Now 1994 down there, so I've been enjoying some pop dance tunes, which, when you've got the hood down, just puts a massive smile on your face. I feel you are actually going back to the 90s in the car, in the music, in the media, and the power of this thing is just, now that we're on a decent road, the 3.2, it's like you're driving an engine that's just got some wheels attached to it. Honestly, if I put a hair on the accelerator, this car responds, and it's smooth. There's nothing sudden about it, but the surge is just, you know, it's just instant and plentiful. Well, let's have a little bit of a go with it here. Sport mode. I mean, it just puts a smile on your face. It's, you know, it's ridiculously quick to get to the speed limit. It just does it so effortlessly, so beautifully. Let's just pull over and have a little review. A review with a view with a review. Something like that. It's a shame the sun's gone in. Hopefully it's going to come back out, because I'm going to stick the roof down for my trip home. But just to go over what's going to be in the next video, what I'm going to be looking at is the costs So I've got a little Excel spreadsheet that I'm going to keep updating in terms of the values of the different shares that I've chosen to sort of trace this against, giving 21st of November as a benchmark, and the fixed rate savings account, and then adding in the different costs and what the different parts, bodywork and things like that have come to. So I'll keep updating that as we go along, and seeing how things change. I'm not expecting the value of the car to change for at least a couple of years, so that's going to be stagnant. Yeah, so that's how I'm going to be tracing that side of things. In terms of the next video, I think what it'll be, hopefully in the next month or two, I'll have an update. I'll have it booked in with at the body shop. Hopefully I'll have had a quote and decided on exactly what bits I'm doing and how to tackle them. LCD screen, hopefully that'll be done. The valet of the inside, I'm really looking forward to doing that. I really do like having a good clean up, so that will be done. And I think that's probably going to be about it. I'll get the tracking sorted out. Need some new wiper blades. Oh, I need to get the new lights for the boot. I'm probably just going to go for standard Audi ones. The badge as well. I've got this down here. So this has been that's the badge for the boot. It's got no sticker on the back of it. I don't know whether to just go for a brand new genuine one, or can I clean that up? And I mean, how do you get stickers on that properly? Really, it might be easier just to buy a new one. What else have we got down here? Other bits of things that have. So that's what's come off the spoiler originally, and this is what you can't get. And if you don't get that on right, it doesn't fit right and starts wobbling about. You can just stick them down with Sikaflex, but that's not really the ideal way to do it. What else have we got? Now 31. No. Bulbs. Don't know if anyone else has had this issue, but they're the side light bulbs for the front. I had to replace those over the last few years. I remember having to do that a number of times. They've gone out, and I've been very careful putting them in, not getting any finger marks on them or grease or anything. Still seems to go quite frequently. Anyway, so what else have we got? Tracking, LCD, the gear. Yeah, I want to get the gearbox checked, because whilst it works and it changes well, I feel like it's a bit clunky, and sometimes it seems to take a while to find that biting point. So I'm going to just take some advice on that. Don't know if anyone else has got any information on that one. So yeah, I think that's probably about it. Anything that anyone has any comments on, any advice, what leather cleaner to get, for example, please let me know. So part 2, like I say, hopefully I'm looking at, depends how long editing this video takes, but hopefully not too long. But yeah, hopefully we're talking January-ish time. We can come out with an update on that. In the meantime, it's my first video. Like and subscribe if you like this type of thing. I'm probably going to I might end up with an Instagram and all that sort of stuff as well, so keep an eye open for that if you're interested, and keep an eye open for the next dull video. Thanks for watching this one, and I'm going to stick the roof down and take a long ride home.